Sinbad, the Coast Guard's most famous mascot. He was adopted by crewmen from the cutter Campbell prior to World War II. He was so beloved by the crew that they actually enlisted him into the Coast Guard. Sinbad served faithfully through the thick and thin, surviving combat with the Germans and Japanese, causing a few international incidents with his antics, and even having a book written about him. Here he is at his battle station on board the Campbell, ready to aim at the German U-boat. Here we have Dog First Class Cecil of the cutter Perseus WPC 114, about 1955. He's showing Seaman Roger Gold the way to the bridge. Cecil was supposedly the son of Chief Dog Maximilian, the famous mascot of the cutter Northwind, and an unnamed collie. Cecil had a distinguished career at sea on board the Perseus from 1955 to 1958. Here we have Maggie, short for Magellan. She was the mascot aboard the Coast Guard cutter Spar. Here she stands a watch aboard the bridge of the cutter while departing Woman's Bay near Kodiak, Alaska on May 8, 2013. The Spar was underway toward buoys in the vicinity of Kodiak Island. U.S. Coast Guard photo by Ashley Stone. Here's another photo of Magellan, known as Maggie to her friends. She's shown here with her best friend of 13 years, Lieutenant Commander Michelle Shallop. Lieutenant Commander Shallop commanded the cutter Spar with Maggie's assistance. Magellan has served with Lieutenant Commander Shallop for her entire career. Here, Maggie takes a well-deserved break while she's off duty. Working on a Coast Guard buoy tender is very hard work, especially in the waters off the coast of Alaska, where the cutter Spar serves. Maggie is a permanent cutterman with over 5 years of sea duty. A pig on a cutter? Yes, that's Samantha, and she saw combat duty on board the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Point Glover in Vietnam. Breaker, the mascot of Coast Guard Station Fort Macon in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, who has been serving the crew since June 2002. Breaker is a black lab and a border collie mix. Breaker was brought to the station Fort Macon after being orphaned and the sole survivor of his family. His 5 siblings and mother all died from parvo. The school children know him by name because he is one of the most popular attractions during field trips to the station. His medical care comes from the Army veterinarians at Marine Corps Air Station, Cherry Point. Here is Seaboy, the mascot of Coast Guard Station Destin, Florida. Our station mascot is an AKC registered yellow lab named Seaboy, but everyone calls him Boy. He was donated to the station as a puppy in June of 2002. He's a pretty famous dog in the local community. He's been in the paper several times. He had a torn ACL when he was a year old, and the community started donating money and toys to him. At the current time, he has his own morale checking account, which is all the donated funds from the community. We regularly conduct tours of the station for the different children groups, and one of the things they love to see most is Boy jumping into the water to rescue Oscar. Boy stays up with the communications watchstander and provides security by making the rounds of the station hourly. Here we have Red Dog, the mascot of the famous Alaskan cutter Storis, which was in service longer than any other ship in the Coast Guard. Turk was a full-blooded golden retriever and has been with the Coast Guard station at Elizabeth City from 1996. He achieved the rank of Chief Boatswain Mate. Turk was considered to be a vital part of the crew at the station. He was taken care of through a military veterinarian, as well as the crew. His favorite pastimes were sleeping, playing with his Kong toys, chasing birds, and swimming. Here we have Spike, the mascot of Coast Guard Station Wilmette, with Port Security Unit 309 in Port Clinton, Ohio. Spike served as the mascot of Station Wilmette from the fall of 1992 to the spring of 1994. Spike retired from active duty and is now 14 years old. Another Coast Guard mascot is Yuri, the canine member of Coast Guard Station Calumet Harbor, sometimes in the 1990s out on patrol. See Chicago in the background? Note that he is careful enough to wear his life jacket, which is also known as a personal flotation device. Our thanks to BMC Christopher Runt for letting us know about Yuri. The mascot at Coast Guard Station Honolulu from March 2003 until April 2004 was Seaman Muttley. Bear. Here we have Bear, the now retired mascot of Coast Guard Station Kenosha, who served there from 1990 to 2000. Bear is a purebred chocolate Labrador retriever. BMC Chad Kurth told us Bear was transferred from his kennel to Station Kenosha on 4 June 1990 as a puppy. He loved to ride the station boats and even rode on the back of the station's jet ski. Kenosha school children knew him by name because he was one of the most popular attractions at their yearly field trips to the station. His medical care came from the Army veterinarians at the Great Lakes Vet Treatment Facility at Great Lakes Naval Training Center. Here is Bear patrolling the beach in front of the Kenosha Pierhead Lighthouse on a stormy day. Chief Kurth noted that Bear retired from active duty on 13 October 2000. He was still alive and will turn 14 as of this year, 2004. He lives on a government pension in the form of my paycheck. He lives with me and my wife. He is as good a Coast Guard dog as I've ever known, so Bear is enjoying his well-earned retirement after serving his country. Here is Nicky, a husky puppy and mascot of the Cutter Cape Carter, WPB 95309, January 1990. This is Bud, a black Labrador retriever posing for the camera. Bud was a mascot of Coast Guard Group Marichis in the 1990s. He served for 8 years at Group Marichis. A former crewmate of Bud's, Mike Flannery, told us that he was donated as a pup from a crew member en route to a ship, and he just couldn't keep him. Bud was an active member of Group Marichis until he was diagnosed with cancer and passed away at age of 8. This is Bud. Sam was a member of the Coast Guard Station Scituate, Massachusetts. Here he is just waking up from a nap in the sun. A former crewmate, Rick Pierce, noted that Sam was brought there as a stray sometimes in the mid-70s by someone who was stationed there. At the time, Sam was about 12 or 13 years old. Sam would wander around the station during the day, making sure everyone was staying busy. At night, he would sleep in the radio room and keep the radio watch company during the graveyard shift. Whenever there was a call and sounded the SAR alarm, Sam would run upstairs to the rooms where everyone slept, run up and down the hall, barking to wake everyone up. On nice days, he would get underway with us and ride the bow, as far forward as he could get. He preferred the 41-footer to the 44. In his younger years, he would go on all calls, but apparently age caught up with him, and he just wasn't up to it every time. But when he did, he was the happiest coastie on the boat. Here we have Maximilian Talisman, service number 224859, a purebred boxer who was a remarkable Coast Guardsman. He had a stellar career in which he was promoted to the rank of Chief Boatswain's Mate and served at sea on board a cutter for 7 years. That's 42 human years. He had enlisted in the Coast Guard in 1950, only 3 months after he was born. The photo caption reads, Donald R. Haight, BM-1, displays retirement orders for his old shipmate Maximilian Talisman, BMC/Dog. Max is retiring from active duty after some 7 years aboard the Coast Guard cutter Klamath. He will spend his time now at the home of BM-1 Haight in Seattle. The Chief seems to be getting some practice on those lazy retirement days ahead. BMC Maximilian Talisman meets his replacement. The original caption read, I'll take care of that new seaman, boys, is what BMC Maximilian seems to be saying. The pup is the new mascot aboard the Coast Guard cutter Klamath and is relieving Max, who retires after more than 7 years afloat. All of his time was spent aboard the Klamath. Here Max is piped off his cutter for the final time with full naval honors. During his 7-year Coast Guard career, Max never received a mark less than 3.4 out of a total of 4.0 on his service record and never received a mark below 4.0 at conduct. He did well on his standard test scores, qualified as bridge lookout, crossed the International Date Line twice, and the Arctic Circle once. He earned the United Nations Medal, Korean Service Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal. Here we have a mascot of the revenue cutter Thetis, somewhere up in Alaska in 1913. We don't know what his name was, but we do know that by the time this photo was taken, he had served continuously at sea for 10 years, making him the saltiest sailor mascot that ever served in the Coast Guard. Probably the largest mascot that ever served in the Coast Guard. Here is an unnamed black bear, another mascot of the cutter Thetis, taking a break from duty. He's cooling himself off by resting on a large piece of ice. The Thetis served in Alaska waters, sailing on the Bering Sea Patrol. This is the mascot of the Coast Guard Icebreaker Northwind. Thanks to retired Coast Guard Lieutenant Jerry L. Eccles, we know his name. Lieutenant Eccles wrote, "That dog is Oliver. He was born on the Northwind in Greenland. His mother Dagmar was the ship's dog before Oliver. I only had the pleasure of sailing with him for one Arctic patrol. He retired to an Oregon farm in early 1954 when life at sea became a little hard on him. He was relieved by Rosie." This is the mascot. Unfortunately, we do not know the name of this mascot of the Coast Guard cutter Northland. The photo was taken sometime in the 1930s. Note his unique uniform and studded collar. Here is Skunk, the mascot of the Coast Guard Icebreaker Eastwind, sometimes in 1947, standing watch. Note his properly fitting Dixie Cup hat. The Thetis crew members get the award for having the most mascots of the greatest variety. Here are two shipmates, an unnamed cat and dog, taking a break from duty somewhere up in Alaskan waters. They seem to be getting along well. An unnamed dog making sure the cat is not shirking its duties. An unnamed. In this image, Mars 3 on the left and Muggins, the feline, to the right, sharing space on board a cutter sometimes in the 1920s. Buccaneer, somewhere up in Alaskan waters, enjoying a midday snack of canned shrimp. Buccaneer. Cats seem to have been the most popular mascot for the cutters serving in Alaska. Here's an unnamed young fellow making sure his commander is keeping a steady course. The crew of the Cutter Perry pose for the camera with their mascot, a very well-dressed goat with the appropriate rank, insignia, and good conduct stripe. The photo's original caption stated, "Speak Boy, Coast Guardsman Raymond A. Wyasinski, Engineman 2nd Class, right. Seaman David E. Akins tried to coax friend Charlie into singing for his supper at the Los Angeles Harbor Light. Charlie, a junior-sized California harbor seal, has been adopted by the station keepers as their unofficial mascot for February 1966. Chief Midget clipping mascot dog at Coast Guard Lifeboat Station, Chicocamino, North Carolina, 15 June 1952.